Here's Gaze. Another alley-oop pass. That's what we've been waiting for. Unbelievable timing on that. And it's the Tigers straight away. Gaze. Alley-oop. What a start.
Welcome to the Ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast, NBL edition. This is our weekly preview and review show. As always, we're brought here today by The Squeeze, Ryan from Astute Newstead, and Bonus Bank. I'm the Supercoach Mastrix, and I'm here today with my co-host, Hamilton the Musical. Hammer, mate, how are you?
You've caught me not wearing black. I've been in mourning all week after the Jack Jumpers weekend.
Dick's out for the Jack Jumpers.
Oh, what a roller coaster of a weekend it was. How was yours?
Yeah, look, it could have ended better. I got in my own head. Can I tell you? I heard the news about Gary Clark. I was at work and I just saw Cheatham sitting there and I was like, if Clark does get a couple games or even get one game, this could be season defining. And it was negatively.
Yeah, for you. He balled out, man. He was electric against my beloved Jack Jumpers and did enough to put together a decent score in the second game. Wasn't as good, but yeah, better than his night on Sunday would have ended up after ending up in the back of a paddy wagon.
Yep. Look, let's get into what we're gonna have this week. We're going to go through how we went. We're gonna go through our squeeze of the week. We're gonna do our round 15 review, our round 16 preview. We're gonna go through the most traded in, the most traded out, our own trade and captain thoughts, and of course answering all your questions along the way. A little public service announcement. The deadline is 7:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Wednesday. So I did get a couple messages. People thought that it would be. See you in the chat there, Hamo. I've starred that one. But I have got some messages saying that they expected the deadline to stay Thursday. It's been Wednesday this week and last week. So yeah, keep track of that. Hammer, do you want to let us know how you went?
Yeah, look, I had, God, where is it? 458. So I've moved up another 70 spots in the season, sitting inside the top 800 now. Look, it was a round where I thought probably would have done a little bit better. I captained Lamb, which wasn't ideal given his second game and that blowout that New Zealand had. But yeah, all in all, not the worst. But you topped that. You had a pretty good one.
Yeah, I had 484. Could have been a lot better, of course, if I played Clark instead of Cheatham. But look, I moved up. Moved up 111 spots. I had the 240th rank for this week. Yeah, look, it's all looking on the up. And yeah, I think I'm set ahead for the weeks ahead. I'm feeling pretty good about my team that I can keep chipping away and look, maybe a top 200 finish, something along those lines.
Yeah, you'd be happy with that. And this next round's another round with a lot of teams on the double. So we'll be expecting a couple of big scores again from the Insight squad.
Yeah, actually, the Insight squad went absolutely bonkers. I should go through that in my team of the week. Give me a sec. Mate, you talk about something, hey? Answer Hamo's question.
Yeah, look, I'm going to pass on that one, but probably the breaking news that we need to talk about this week is Christian Doolittle. Now, he's under a concussion cloud. We know how that's played out for the rest of the season with Dellavedova, some of the other guys who've had similar ailments. So with Perth on the double-double, we'll talk about it a bit later about how it might affect Cotton and some of the other guys, but be wary if you're looking at bringing him into your side. It's possibly a no-go, especially given his production of late.
And mate, while we're having a bit of a chat about some teams, Illawarra and Brisbane, they haven't won 4 games in a row in 4 years. So they're surging at the moment.
This may as well be the minor premiership for a Brisbane fan like yourself.
Mate, I'm already buying those grand final tickets. Mate, so the Insight Community team scored the 14th highest score in Australia last week with 534. They have moved into 89th overall. So thanks everybody bringing in. How they went so well is I didn't have time to panic for Gary Clark for the Insight Community team. I just panicked for myself. They started Jalen Adams. Yeah, exactly. They started Jalen Adams. They started Trey Kell, Captain Clark, Froling. They had Bolden, Galloway, Wiley, McCall, and Armstrong on the bench. And can we just have a chat about their centre, Isaac Humphries?
Cause of my hump, 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 my lovely lady lumps. Check it out. Cause of my hump.
Look, he was sensational.
He not only just absolutely dominated the Supercoach scores, he looked dominant to the eye test too. He was moving well. Like, this is a guy in a contract year, and he's just putting his hand out and say, "Give me the bag." It's he was good.
Yeah, he was great and probably has made himself a little bit of a captain option in coming into next week as well. So, that's something that we'll have a little bit of a chat about. But, yeah, Insight Community team did fantastic, and Humphries helped them along the way.
Yeah, absolutely soaring, both Humphries and the Insight team.
I'm just logging into my own, but we're going to get into our squeeze of the week this week. And it goes to Corey from Goulding United. He scored 546. He captained Kell, had Shannon Scott on the bench. And again, the usual guys, Clark, Hump, Froling, and Jalen Adams all starting as well. I think he had like a Galloway and a Bolden sitting there, or maybe a Galloway and a Valentine when I had a look. But yeah, really, really good week there with 546. So slide into our DMs and get a standard squeeze pack or a 4-in-1. So, congratulations to Corey. All right, should we just start getting into some of the Supercoach previews or reviews of the last round?
Let's do it.
Can we start with Brisbane versus Tasmania? Now, you were there.
I was there.
How was it?
Didn't see a lot. I had a 15-month-old with me that needed to be walked around the concourse a lot. It was probably ambitious going to a game that started at bedtime, but look, it was good. It was good fun, good night. The result wasn't ideal. We actually left with 5 minutes to go. Tassie were down like 9, and I said, "Look, let's just make it ahead, get ahead of the traffic." We got into the car, checked the box score, refreshed, and it was 77-all. And I thought, my God, we got to get back here. We're going to overtime. I hit refresh one more time, and Chris Smith just ripped the heart out of Tasmania with one 3-point shot. So
I don't know why Drimmick didn't foul there. He had a foul to give. Like, he was obviously going ISO, obviously backed himself. But yeah, look, I would have thought
over the weekend. I thought that in the second Tassie game. But
I would have thought that's the first option. You foul.
100%. From a Supercoach perspective, though, there was absolutely nothing spectacular to write home about. It was a really sloppy game, to be honest. It was as good as the finish was. It was uninspiring, and it's probably the game if you're going to have to walk your daughter around the stadium all day long. That's probably the one. It was tough.
Yeah, let's just mention Uncle Milton, he had 27, Tyrell Harrison, 26. But yeah, not much else to write home about. We can probably gloss over the other blokes. So they both have doubles, so we can have a chat about them a bit later on.
For sure.
What about the 36ers blowing out the Kings?
This was, was it unexpected? Kings have been on a slide. 36ers seem to be getting it together.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yes, it was still unexpected because it's Adelaide, but
Yeah.
oof, like Isaac Humphries made everyone else look like a baby.
Yeah, this game produced some serious scores.
That's it.
The 18 and 12 for 39 Supercoach points, and it's the blocks where they're 4 points a block, are they? 3 points, 4 points a block?
Yeah,
They add up. A couple of steals. He's active, and look, 25 minutes is pretty solid for him. He did have a little bit of foul trouble, finished with the 4 fouls, but he was spectacular with 39, and Trey Kell chimed in with 27 actual points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, padded the stat sheet for 36 actual Supercoach points there. Had the 4 turnovers, which hurt a little bit.
yeah, and DJ3J, I know he was owned a little bit. He had 29, and basically everybody has Wiley in their team, and he had 21.
And he
I don't know.
struggled.
He's been disappointing.
Probably the big surprise in that one was Kyron Galloway off the bench. He played 27 minutes. And you see Wiley only played the 14 in this one, and he was in foul trouble. He ended up fouling out in those 14 minutes, but the 27 minutes produced 21 Supercoach points for Galloway, which was tidy. Sydney, on the other hand, was a different story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Look, Jalen Adams always scores well. 30 is probably subpar for him.
Yep.
Jordan Hunter with 24, and we always know when Jordan Hunter goes really well, Bolden goes shit. So he had 10. Denzel Valentine, he had the 8. And as a Jalen Galloway owner, I was also disappointed with 12.
Yeah, Jalen Galloway was disappointing this weekend. I saw he featured in a lot of teams. He hasn't really regained his form from earlier in the season, has he?
No, and I just so I jumped on him as soon as I saw Hogue was out, thinking that it might linger. Well, I got one of the two right. Yes, Hogue's injury lingered, and Jalen Galloway's getting a bit more of a run, but yeah, he just doesn't have that impact that he had at the start of the year.
Why don't you tell me who the most disappointing player in all of Supercoach is this season, and why it's Denzel Valentine?
Yeah, well, it's Denzel Valentine, and why? Because we expected so much more. We thought we had a gun. I thought I had a Taj McCall player.
That was what we were expecting. That triple-double threat every night across the stat sheet. Yeah, I was expecting kind of like a hybrid between Taj McCall and Shannon Scott. But look, he started this one. He has been coming off the bench, but still only played for 16 minutes. Was absolutely atrocious. Had the 4 fouls, and it's a write-off this season. We should probably stop just indulging in what could be and just accept him for what he is, right?
He's a bit better in the next one, so we'll get to that in a little bit. I tell you what, Cheatham should learn the rules because he's brought...
Goodness.
Yeah, and I don't think that decided the game, and the coach was actually really good about it in the press conference and everything. He was backing his guys. What else can you do? But realistically...
not call a timeout?
Yeah. Well, you can't. So just pass it up the floor and have a dig. I reckon Delhi missed that on purpose.
Yeah. The foul before was a little suspect anyway. There was a lot of pretty ordinary calls with the officiating this weekend.
Yeah. But Lamb had a good game. This is what we expected from Lamb. Parker Jackson Cartwright was good. I see a few people bringing in him for the blokes that couldn't afford Lamb with 32. I was pretty happy with Cheatham with the 27. I was just thinking, look, I've banked that up now. Of course, I was disappointed with how good Clark went after that. Will McDowell White back in this one with 7. But Delhi, Goulding, Travis, they were fantastic.
Yeah. Big scores. Dellavedova, 41 Supercoach points. He doubled again with the 14 and 10 assists. Goulding, 40. Unusual for him to hit the stat sheet so well across it. He only had the 24 actual points. Solid score, but 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. He must have actually played defense, or the ball just landed in his lap or something.
Must have just fell in his lap.
Yeah, Travis came off the bench in this one, had the 13 and 11 for his 35 Supercoach, but go back to Cheatham. Like that 34 minutes is good. 27 Supercoach points, 11 and 10 double-double. Is that what we should expect from him?
Yes, 100%. We should get that every game.
Yeah. I was expecting that and more coming into the season. So, maybe that next game where they got blown out is an aberration, but I'm hopeful this is what he's going to bring.
Yeah, and he was better in the team, though, before Anthony Lamb came. Like, Cheatham was kind of the man until Lamb came. And like Parker Jackson Cartwright looked really good. Now it seems like Parker Jackson Cartwright's looking for Lamb a little bit more. I don't know.
Yep.
Like Cheatham seems to do nothing. Like watching and then accumulates points as well, almost accidentally.
Yeah, it's not like they're running plays for him. He occasionally gets a putback, maybe the odd lob for him occasionally, but yeah, it's a different role, isn't it? Lamb, though, after this game, he had the 36 Supercoach points. I captained him, was feeling semi-confident. Thought, he's gone as good as Kell, who was probably one of my other options. The 22 and 8, I feel like that's standard for him. This is not an extraordinary Anthony Lamb stat line, is it? This is what we expect every week, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when he's rolled through and got 50s in games. Look, it's hard. Like Melbourne United is a good matchup. Defensively for Anthony Lamb. I think that, I think this was sort of the floor as to what we expected of Lamb this week.
Yeah. This game, though, was the beginning of a night of absolute close games, terrible calls, and I was exhausted after this one. This next game, Jack Jumpers, Illawarra Hawks, it had it all, didn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I was hating on life just to do with Gary Clark. I was glad it went into overtime because he did absolutely nothing, and it let my boy Justin Robinson and him sort of catch up a little bit. But yeah, a great Supercoach game for owners, especially those that have loaded up on the Hawks like ourselves.
It was sloppy to start with, though. Like coming to the last quarter, Tassie were 5 points down, 10 points down, 2 points. They just couldn't bridge it. And then all of a sudden, after having maybe 2 points in the entire first 3 quarters, Milton Doyle took over. That was special, right?
His Supercoach score, did you ever look at 3/4 time what he was on? It was awful.
It was abysmal.
It was like 8 or 6 or something. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. And they just couldn't buy a bucket. All of a sudden, that last 2 minutes, McVeigh, Crawford, Doyle, there was like 10 threes that went down, and she's gone to overtime.
Yep. And look, I don't want to say too much about the calls, but Illawarra did pull out the win for the 0-2 Jack Jumpers for this week.
Yeah, well, the 1-4 Jack Jumpers over the last couple of weeks. It hasn't been a good patch for us. Look, Supercoach-wise, Doyle came through late. Foul trouble hurt him. He didn't really feature in overtime at all. Had the 32 Supercoach points. Crawford was the lone hand. He accumulated most of his stats in the 4th and the 2 overtime periods, 35. McVeigh was good. He had 21 Supercoach points. He was better than that, but foul trouble had him fouling out as well. It was really the other side of the bench, though, where the damage was done, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. Especially, and even Supercoach-wise, and with the win. But yeah, look, what's that? 4 players above 34 when we go Froling, Harvey, Robinson, Clark. Basically, their whole starting lineup blew it up. And then, actually, their whole starting lineup scored over 30. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Clark, he had 51 at the end of regulation. He's obviously done nothing in the 2 overtime periods and finished with 49, but 25 points, 15 boards, 2 assists, a steal and a block. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
Except in your lineup.
Thanks, man. It means a lot.
Yeah. But look, we've said this on the pod before. We've always targeted guys against the Jack Jumpers in that 4 spot. Guys like Anthony Lamb, Gary Clark. It's something about that inside-outside powerful game that those guys have, and the Jackies don't have an answer for it. So if there's a player like that coming up against them over the next few weeks, I'm going to be giving it a long, hard look.
let's head into another overtime game. Cairns Taipans and the 36ers. Look, it's hard not to talk about Taj McCall. 53 points. I've been stashing him on my bench for this double coming up. And look, and then another guy scored 49.
My lovely lady.
Miller?
Nah, Isaac Humphrey scored 49.
43 for Paddy Miller. That was some big scores all around. Talk to me about a Calder Gack.
I just want to talk about Adam Ford because I just can't understand what's going on. So everybody's went and added Meninga. He got absolutely manhandled, I suppose, in 4 minutes by Humphreys. And then they've just went Roberts and Gack instead of what they've been going with all year in like your Clintmans and Menengas and flipped it on its head, and they've gone sensational. And you want to know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to add these guys because that's what I did last time Roberts did it. And you want to know what happened? Ruined my season. I lost money. I wasted trades. I sat there in hope and in fear. And the same thing will happen to Gack again.
I think the moral of the story is that Adam Ford hates Supercoach. 21
Hates
and
me
14
personally.
for a Calder Gack in 28 minutes, 46 Supercoach points. Like, that is completely out of nowhere.
He just scored 46 Supercoach points, and he has a 3-round average of 17 still.
Mm-hmm. That centre spot, though, I don't even know what to call it. We've seen Menenga. We've got no Wardenberg this week. We've seen them have Josh Roberts pop up for 2 weeks. Now Gack, like, he seemed to be the flavour of the month when they went over to the States earlier in the season, but you just can't trust them 1 week to the next, can you?
No, because even Josh Roberts was good in this one.
He was good, and he didn't get the burn. He only played the 12 minutes, but look at this for hyper production. 12 minutes, 12 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, and a block for 19 Supercoach points. Like, when he's out there, he doesn't mess around, does he? He gets busy.
He just gets down in the dirt and does what you want as a teammate. Like, and he doesn't take away from like the Paddy Millers and the McCalls, and they were sensational once overtime came in, or probably the last 3 or 4 minutes, and then overtime. Paddy Miller and Taj McCall just put their teams on this back and said, "Hey, we're the Cairns Taipans."
See, we talked about this when Josh Roberts first had those couple of big games against Melbourne United, and we said it's nice for a change to have a guy who's rolling to the hoop rather than picking and popping, and gives a target to McCall, gives a target to Paddy Miller. And then they went away from it. The Calder Gack, and in his small sample size, Josh Roberts gave that to them again this week. And look, Miller, big score. McCall, huge score. Gack, Roberts in limited minutes, both productive. They're so much better going to the hoop than shooting threes with Wardenberg and Menenga, surely.
Yeah, you'd think so, but anyway, Adam Ford will do what Adam Ford does, and Gack is probably a trap of the week for me. I know a lot of people are talking about adding him, but yeah, that is fool's gold. And I know it's the wrong timing, but we did mention Corey earlier on. Corey's live on the show, and he's the guy that got 546 in the last week. So congratulations, mate. You will enjoy your squeeze packs. I know I do. So,
See who else would enjoy a squeeze pack, Matrix? The guy who's not in your roster this week.
Who?
Gary Clark.
Yeah, yep. Oh, well, he might be in my roster this week. He just wasn't last week. Isaac Humphreys, 49, Trey Kell, 33, DJ 3J with 26, rounded out a great round. Wiley, I was pretty happy with the 19. Just the eye test when I watch him now, like, it kind of looks like Kyron Galloway could take his spot at any given time. The coach seems to like Kyron more than Wiley, and I'd be playing Wiley. I just don't know.
Wiley, I'm going to go out on a limb here. He's not coming back next year.
No. No, well,
Uh,
not to Adelaide, not to the NBL, probably.
yeah. Look, the late game was Perth, Southeast Melbourne. I didn't watch much of this, but I checked in at half time and Cotton had 25 actual points. He looked like he was on a tear.
Yeah, I watched the first quarter and maybe 3 minutes in, and I just really don't enjoy watching Southeast Melbourne Phoenix games at the moment. I know that they're starting to get some troops back. They had Creek and Williams back, but
Mm.
Cotton was absolutely cooking, and it looked like they could have won by 40 if they put their if they kept their foot down.
Yeah, look, Creek had the 36 points, 7 rebounds, 40 Supercoach points. It seems like a lot of that was done in garbage time, right?
Yep. Yep. But like, why
Southeast
was he out?
Melbourne. What's that?
Why was he out there playing? Like,
Why was he out there? Because they've got no one else.
yeah, yeah, true. Get Ruben
Look,
Tarangi some
these
burn.
two teams are worth mentioning because both Perth and Southeast Melbourne are now on a double-double. Perth, we're talking Bryce Cotton, potentially Pinder. Doolittle's got that question mark over him. Southeast Melbourne, you've got Big Sauce, you got Mitch Creek, and I don't even know what's going on with Gary Brown. What are your thoughts on these guys moving into round 16 and 17?
So, Brano slid into my DMs a little while, maybe a week or so ago, to have a chat about his trades, and he has a boost up his sleeve. And I actually said that you should try and save this boost for this week to target the Southeast Melbourne and Perth guys that you think will blow up, because I don't think, because having the boost, he could downgrade somebody and get a Cotton and a Creek, or get a Cotton and a Sauce, and it's raining. But I don't think anybody else is going to be able to afford that unless you've got a boost. I wonder whether the performance of Taj McCall has changed that plan a little bit. I think Taj is probably the best player this week that you could play. But look, if I was, and he's sitting at 3 or 400th, and I was just thinking, like, if you could get Bryce Cotton and Mitch Creek and they both have 80-point weeks, you could catapult yourself into the top 100.
I don't think there's going to be too many that would have both of those. But how many teams do you reckon could possibly, and I don't even know if this is mathematically possible, have McCall, Cotton, Creek? That three-headed monster is pretty scary.
Well, I think you can, but like, I think you're gonna have to trade out a Gary Clark and like
Adams.
some people like that. Yeah, like go early and trade out a Trey Kell early, and Adams, like Adams out to one of these guys becomes a little bit easier after how well Adams played this week. But I think you're going to have to mortgage your future by trading out a Gary Clark and stuff. Like, I'm sitting there with Valentine on my bench. I'm sitting there with Cheatham. Like, I'm sitting there with Galloway, and like, that's not going to fund a Pinder. That's not going to fund, like, it's not going to fund a Pinder, let alone a Sauce, a Creek, or a Cotton. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Probably the obvious trade out this week is Lamb. That frees up about 400K, and then you're going to have to do a deal to sell your soul if you want to bring both in.
Yeah, 100% there. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in that game?
I think that's it, mate.
Was there another one, or was that the last game of the round? Brisbane played another one.
Sunday. We had Brisbane, Illawarra, and Sydney's absolute demolition of the New Zealand Breakers. Probably the first one, Brisbane versus Illawarra. A couple of things to talk about. Sobey was back. He started scoring really well. Had, I think, 14 at quarter time. Finished with 25 points, 30 Supercoach points. So must have had a lot of. He had the 4 turnovers as well. Terrell Harrison, 34. He's been having a purple patch. Shannon Scott, 31 points. And this is what we talk about. I highlight this every time. Look at this stat line. 5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. There's nothing that really jumps out. And then 31 Supercoach points in 22 minutes. He's just efficient.
Yeah, he is. And like, wanted to get him in a little bit. Kind of glad I didn't. He's sort of still underwhelmed a little bit. But when you have a 40-point week from a guy that you paid 160K for, you're absolutely going to take it.
It's just, I feel a little let down by this Brisbane coaching a bit at times. Like in Cairns, Scott was at least a 30-minute a game guy, and at times played closer to 40 with injuries and stuff. And I know Norton's playing well. He had 18 actual points in this one. He just got on a bit of a hot streak, but I don't know why Shannon Scott isn't playing 30 to 35 minutes, because they look so much better when he's out there, and Sobey benefits so much from him.
Yeah. Should be noticed Casey Prather was injured in the last game as well. Hasn't been right. Apparently when he came into the squad, he was about 70%.
Yeah.
So yeah, didn't get burned in this one.
Yeah, and Bannon was out as well for this one, which didn't help. Very good. Illawarra, 33 from Froling. He had a really good weekend. 25 minutes he played, had a bit of foul trouble, finished on the 4 fouls. Tyler Harvey popped up, 29 actual points, but only 30 Supercoach points. Justin Robinson, your guy, 24 Supercoach points, and Gary Clark was a little bit quieter on this one. He just took a long time to get going. He really didn't affect the score sheet until after half time and finished with 13 and 8 for 26 Supercoach points. But one of the guys that popped up over the weekend with the absence of Wani Swaka-Labullock in the first one was Lee. He went back to the bench in the second game, but he had 30 in the first and 10 Supercoach points in the second. He's getting some burn.
Yeah, and I need a downgrade option, and maybe Lee is the pod I need. Because when he got that start in the first one, he looked great. Like the eye test, I actually watched him in preseason, and I actually said, "Who's that bloke?" and had to, Google who he was. Basically, just up in the stands having a look. And look, I like what I've seen. He's big, he's a shooter. Look, he could be my downgrade option. I've got about 200K. Nobody has a better schedule than Illawarra. Everybody seems to own Lockie Aldrich, or like everybody looking for a downgrade option seems to own Lockie Aldrich. I wonder if that's maybe the pod that I'll go down.
It might be. You could stash him for the rest of the season with their schedule. He seems to be at least their 6th man at worst. He played 23 minutes in the second game. He played probably close to 40 minutes in the first with the overtime periods. Swaka-Labullock's back, only played the 10. He's struggled this year. But what you give up in defense when Swaka-Labullock goes to the bench, I think you more than make up with Lee's shooting. He's got size, he rebounds, but he spaces the floor so well. You look at guys like Gary Clark, and that's why he probably got going slow, because you can help off Swaka-Labullock a bit more. You can't help off Lee. He's a sniper.
Yeah. And he's so big, like you can shoot over anyone, I feel.
Yeah. And he's on a 3-year deal.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. They'd be wise to actually play him and invest in him, because he's going to be around for a while. There's it's sort of that time of the year where some of these contracts potentially come into play. Like if you've got guys who are coming back next year versus a guy who you probably offload at the end of the season, where are the minutes going?
Yeah, look, probably to Mr. Lee. So I might be looking at that one. Speaking of disappointments, the New Zealand Breakers got absolutely pummeled by the Kings. The Kings just come out and showed what we probably expect from them when they're playing a team at the bottom of the ladder. It was a tale of 2 games for Sydney. Jalen Adams with the 50 piece, and basically everybody that scored well, probably in that top 50, had Jalen Adams. He scored 80 for the weekend. He was great.
I think we just need to take a moment to fully appreciate just how well he played in this game. 39 actual points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block, 50 Supercoach points, 26 minutes he played. This game was over. He was on ice. Like, if this was a close game and he's balling out like that, he's probably going for 50 actual points. He was unstoppable. Yeah. And you know what the worst thing about this is? Why has he not been doing this all year?
Because he doesn't play New Zealand every week.
They haven't been that bad this year. But
no, and defensively, Liapa's been pretty good. So
yeah. Look, Valentine chipped in with 32 Supercoach points. About time he showed up. Bolden 19 off the bench. For New Zealand, Lamb played the lone hand with 19 Supercoach points. Liafa had 25 off the bench in a losing effort. But other than that, PJC 14, Cheatham 15. It was forgettable, wasn't it?
Yep, it was disappointing as a now Cheatham owner. So
And that's the round that was.
that's the round that was. Should we have a look into our previews of the games ahead? Or
Sure.
should we just touch on maybe the schedule and see who's on doubles this week? How do you want to structure this one?
Look, there's a lot of doubles this week. So perhaps we just talk about the teams that are relevant. So probably Southeast Melbourne, Perth are relevant. Adelaide's still relevant. And Illawarra is going to be relevant for the rest of the year. So there's probably our focus moving forward. Sydney are on the single. Tassie's cooked. Melbourne United have a pretty puss run. So
Yeah. Let's have a look. Look, this is the swan song for Cairns. So this is
Mhm.
the last. If you bring in Taj McCall this week, which I might call the best captain option this week, but if you bring in Taj McCall this week, it is a 1 week rental. He goes
It is.
and has singles for the rest of the year. This is the last game you're going to get anything. Like, look, he scores 50 in single games. Like, he's good, but you're going to be chasing those doubles.
Absolutely. Can you bring him in and not captain him?
No.
No. Look, the
I don't
saving
think-
grace if you do bring him in is round 17. There's still 6 teams on the double. So you may be able to
Yeah.
massage him out with what you've got. Come round 18, though, and 19, there's only 2 teams on the double, which becomes quite precarious if you're holding on to too many of these other teams.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at holding my Adelaide players till after round 18 because I'm going to need them in 18 when only Tassie and Adelaide have there.
Yep.
I basically haven't had any Adelaide players. Any Tassie players almost all year. I had McVeigh for 2 or 3 weeks. And that's a 1 week rental. So I'm really going to be holding on to my Adelaide players, even though I've been hating the Wileys and blokes like that. I think maybe I'm going to bring in a captain option from Tassie. But yeah, look, I know I'm already looking ahead to round 18, but it is relevant as to why I'm not going to be getting rid of my Adelaide players next week. This is the last week Brisbane players, really. And it's fine with Shannon Scott. He is Taron Armstrong money. Yeah. So you can hold him till the rest of the year. But they have 4 singles to finish the year.
100%. Look, solid bench options. They will give you production and allow you to spend cash elsewhere, especially as a downgrade. So I don't hate that.
Yeah. Illawarra still have 4 doubles in 5 weeks. So, load up. There's no reason not to have Gary Clark, Froling. I've got Robinson as well, but maybe a Robinson or a Harvey. I think that you should probably have one of those guards in your team as well.
Look, and the whole Gary Clark situation, I think I read somewhere there's a court date set for the 2nd of February. So I would be hesitant to think the league does anything about it, if they even do, before then. So you've got at least another 2 rounds out of him.
Yeah, and that's what I was panicking about. New Zealand on the single this week, but they do still have 3 doubles. Now that I've got Cheatham, he's probably a hold. Now that if you still have Lamb, even though he wasn't the best this week, he's probably still a hold to finish out the season, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. I've got Lamb. 400K is a lot. I'm potentially looking at bringing in a Creek to ride the double-double. Or if I go the other way and perhaps get rid of a Jalen Adams for a Cotton for that double-double. I don't know. I think I can afford to bring one in, and Lamb or Jalen Adams might be the victim of my funds at the moment.
Yep. As we said, Perth and Southeast Melbourne both have doubles. Look, it just reeks of captain options, probably pod captain options, because I feel like everybody has a hump. Or if they don't, they're bringing them in this week. A lot of people will have a Froling. A lot of people will have a Clark. But the
A lot of people
pod
not named
options,
Matrix.
yeah, thank you. But the pod options will come from Perth and South. Look, I'm
All right.
just, you know what? I
Talk
have
to
a
me
moral
about Perth.
compass. I have a moral compass when it comes to Gary Clark, man. I can't believe he was drink driving.
That's true. Look, Doolittle's out for this game with concussion, as far as I know. How does that affect Cotton? Because he's going to be a captain option. You'd really be captaining him if you bring him in at that price. Does Doolittle's absence affect him? Does the balance get thrown off with that squad?
Maybe, but I think it affects Pinder positively more than it affects Cotton.
Mhm.
Look, Doolittle probably gets those second chance opportunities for Cotton quite often,
Yeah.
and helps Cotton get extra shots. But I think Pinder's going to get a bit more burn with Doolittle out.
See, they're rolling. I think the chemistry's there. Doolittle has added another dimension. He does the dirty work. He does the 1%ers, screens hard. He rebounds hard. And I think these are the little things that Cotton was not getting early in the season to get him open. You know, when he struggled, like I saw something the other day, rounds 1 to 5, he averaged 14 points a game. Round 5 onwards, he's averaged 28 or 29 points now. It's been like, you know, chalk and cheese, really, isn't it? But I really think it's going to affect Cotton. It's just something, you know, my spidey sense is saying avoid because of Doolittle.
Looking at downgrade options, and I know I was chatting to you a little bit off camera, and that's how we sort of, you know, had the discussion about Lockie Ulbrich and about Young Lee. Is Usher an option at 160K? Like, hold on one second.
You haven't brought that out in a few weeks.
No, about 12. Since Rob left, I think. But what do you think? Like, he's 160K now. You're looking for pods. I'm 500.
Yeah.
I've got 200K. I'm getting rid of Jalen Galloway this week. I don't really love Sydney's schedule as much.
Yeah.
Is it?
I hadn't
Is it?
considered it, but I
Yeah.
like it. We need to figure out how long Doolittle's out with this concussion, but Usher's got to be the obvious choice to slide into that starting lineup for Doolittle. Like, they're already playing Michael Harrison there. Do they play Wagstaff? They might, but only for limited minutes. I think we're going to see a real uptick in minutes for Usher. And he's showing he can produce. You know, like, and he'll be given the time, the opportunity's there. But is that something that detracts from Cotton? Because those, like, he's not a guy who's going to just be happy out there setting a few screens, grabbing some rebounds. He's a lot more ball dominant, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how I feel about it when I thought about it, but like,
I'd put him on the
comes
bench.
time to roll the dice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Good.
Because I could go like maybe like a Taron or something to him very easily.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Big Sauce? Is he back? Is he an option?
Look, he had 30 in the last game.
Yeah.
I think that he's an option. I think that he's a pod with the way that, you know, with the way that he works back. He's had a 30. Look, if you're looking to ultimately roll the dice,
Yeah.
Sauce was in my plans, and then we've got here, and like,
That's
you know,
my plan.
I'm thinking I'm just gonna hold a Wiley. I expected to have Gaz Clark. I might have to make a move to get Gaz Clark now. I probably want to hold a Cheatham now that I've made my bed. I may as well lie in it. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. But see, I don't think any of your moves there, like Cheatham, at the price you've got him, the way your squad's structured, you'd hold him for the rest of the season. He's only going to get better, and that's great bench production if you are getting these guys like Hump, Rolling playing in your centre position. You don't have to start him. You can on the odd week, but I think Cheatham's a great bench option. Huge ceiling.
Yeah. So would you trade out at, say, a Valentine over a Cheatham at the moment?
Yes. Valentine's dead to me. Sydney's schedule's
Yeah.
just about cooked. Galloway, I'd get rid of as well. I'd be looking to move away from Sydney now, especially if you're bringing in any Southeast Melbourne or Perth guys, because it's going to cover that last double you were holding Sydney for.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I like it. And look, Sydney they've got a single and then they go into a double, whereas Tassie's got what, 2 singles and then a double, but they become one of the hottest commodities there in round 18.
Yeah. I feel like if you can bring a Doyle or a Crawford, they're really your only 2 playable guys on that squad, I think. Maybe a McVeigh. If you can bring them in on your bench a week early, if you have spare trades up your sleeve, and given that week before there are 6 teams on the double, so you might be pretty stacked on your court. Maybe that's the move if you can get in early. Even if you've got a spare trade now and you can stash a Tassie player. I mean, I'm still stuck with Biwali Bales. I'd take any Tassie player over him.
Yeah, sounds good. That's going to be an option.
Still got Krislovic. Tell me about Vodanovic.
No, sounds good. We've had some really good questions. No.
No?
Has he done anything?
Well, he played the first game, the
Yeah,
one I
exactly.
went and watched in Brisbane. He was awful. Didn't hit the court again in that double overtime game. They went Krislovic the whole way down the stretch. So, I don't know. Maybe he's just a little underdone. Maybe he doesn't really know where he sits there. But that was interesting to me.
Maybe they would just bring
as a
him in
Krislovic holder.
Yeah. Yeah, true. That's great. Well, like you enjoy that 12.
I will.
You're my
It
boy,
was
Blue.
12 more than I was expecting.
Mate, where do we go from here? Do you want to answer some questions? You want to go through some of the most traded in and traded out?
Yep. Let's go trade in, trade out, and we'll finish with the questions.
All right, sounds good. And I need to hear about your trades as well. I know that we've touched on them, but let's have a look at who is.
This is why I'm hot.
Mate, the most traded in this week is Bryce Cotton, 15% of Supercoach owned, bringing him in at $460K. I'm probably going to be looking to fade him this week, maybe out of necessity. I'm not 100% sure, but look, Cotton, captain option.
He's a captain option. I'm not going to touch him. I think he's just that bit too expensive that you suffer on the rest of your squad because of it, unless you've been really planning for this moment. But like we talked about, Doolittle potentially out, Usher potentially playing more minutes. I don't think this is his week. I'd be more inclined to take a Pinder.
I like it. He's actually the 3rd most brought in player. 4.9% of people are bringing in Keanu Pinder. But as advertised, this is what I thought. A colder Gack, 12.8% of people bringing him in. As a downgrade option, he's going to have a negative break even. He just reeks of trap.
Oh, it's Josh Roberts 2.0. It's fool's gold. It's also concerning considering this double is it for them, isn't it?
Yep, this is it. They are absolutely done this year. You're trading him in to sit on your bench and get singles for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm not about it.
So I would spend up and go even though Lockie Aldrich is dead to me as well, for 146K, that's 50K more. And he's going to play twice as many games for the rest of the season, probably more than that.
And he's
Lee
have a defined role.
Yeah, Lee exactly the same. And he is the 9th most brought in player at 3.1% at 169K. I like that. Look, Gary Clark. People are rectifying that mistake of not having him. I'll probably be one of those people this week at 366K. People bring in Justin Robinson as well. I've had him for a long time. He's been mid at best. I wouldn't be bringing him in if I didn't have him. I'd probably bring in Harvey over him at the moment, really.
Yeah, look, both are just average, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're playing better as a team. And this whole, let's focus throwing the ball inside. We'll get Gary Clark going. We'll get Sam Froling going. worked wonders for their season. But yeah, you're right. Harvey had a little bit of a purple patch, hitting some threes and got rolling, but did nothing else. And Justin Robinson, he shows flashes where he has a couple of plays and then he goes missing again. So yeah, schedule's
He
good. That's it.
Him and Harvey I'm going to hold him for the rest of the year. That was
Yeah.
the plan. I've made my bed. Let's line it. I bought him cheap too. But I think with Harvey going well, I think that he's taking away from Justin Robinson.
Yeah. I don't think they're both going to pop up because they're both very ball dominant, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's a very
Harrison's-
similar issue to New Zealand with Parker Jackson
Go on.
Cartwright and Will McDowell White. I just don't get when they're constructing these rosters why you want such ball dominant guards. What happened to the two man who just runs off a few picks and catches and shoots? Like, I'll tell you what, my boy Cam Glidden on the weekend. Oh, that shot is pure.
That was elite. The best 58K Supercoach game you've ever seen in your life.
Could bring a tear to a glass eye, that game.
Tyrell Harrison, 180K. People are bringing him in with Brisbane's schedule. That's awful. Isaac, even if Tyrell Harrison scores that many points, and like a Lockie Ulbrich plays half the amount of games that Tyrell Harrison is, he'll probably end up outscoring him just out of sheer numbers.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Hump, people who didn't have him, 335K. People are bringing him in. And Sam Froling, and that is all. And Mitchell Creek there. That is everybody above 3%. But let's have a look at who's cold. People are trading out of Jalen Adams. People are trading out of Denzel Valentine. And with the schedule, you can see why.
Yeah, 100%. Like we said, if you're going to anyone on Southeast Melbourne or Perth, they're the obvious outs.
And Menenga at 228K after getting boarded.
Absolutely boarded. We talked at the start of the year about the Vickerman effect. I think if you're a big man, you're going to get boarded if you go to Cairns. And next season, if he brings another 4 centers on this roster, I'm going to be very, very cautious. Yeah, that's Menenga, Roberts. We've been burnt by every single one of them along the season, haven't we?
We have. I had Menenga at the start of the year, but just couldn't go back to another center after the Wardenberg and Josh Roberts debacle. Anthony Lamb, people are trading out of him, probably to free up the cash to the most brought in players like Cotton. Parker Jackson Cartwright, people are getting off them, but New Zealand's schedule's pretty good going forward.
Parker Jackson Cartwright's an interesting one. The guards for these last couple of weeks are probably weaker than the forwards now. So, obviously, you got Cotton with a very hefty price tag. Jalen Adams' runs coming to a bit of an end. Illawarra with a good schedule don't have a solid guard option. PJC, if we think outside this 1 week single, it's a solid little couple of weeks for him, and they are in the playoff hunt still. They'll be playing big minutes.
Yeah, any could be. Look, I'd be just holding New Zealand players through this run.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Galloway, I understand that. I will be doing that myself. Jonah Bolden, as we see, all these Sydney guys just coming out. Their runs coming to an end. Jordan Hunter's in there. Sam Wardenberg, some people were still holding. 160K Sam Wardenberg.
Wow.
I think
How
he
the
went
mighty
to
have
300
fallen.
plus at one stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are getting...
Don't fall in love. You got to get out when the going's good.
Also, people are getting off Uncle Milton, and I would probably hold Milton Doyle if I had him and just play him off the bench, playable on singles off the bench there, and just wait for that run. Like you said, stashing that Tasmania player.
I mentioned to my wife this week, we have a second kid and it's a boy. I wouldn't mind calling it Milton. And she said, what on earth are you talking about? No. And I said, well, we can go to my second option. She said, what's that? I said, Tintin. loved that cartoon as a kid, and so she's very off me at the moment. But Milton, that's a good name, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
It's got a
I need you
you
to
know
start
what?
working on it.
Nickname? A cute
Yeah,
nickname, Milo.
yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
We
you
need to
go
put
to
a
the
package
park with
together to
little
sell
Milo.
this to her. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's okay. I'll do a PowerPoint. I'll.
yeah.
But that is the ins and the outs. Look, let's start having a chat about our trades before we get to some of these great questions.
Do it.
Ladies and
What do
gentlemen,
you-
I'd like to report a trade.
Mate, I might grab the floor first.
You do that, man.
Because a very easy trade in this week is the one that got away, and that was Gary Clark. Didn't get away from the police, but got away from my Supercoach team. Look, Gary Clark will be inserted into my team now alongside Zylan Cheatham. So I'll be moving Zylan Cheatham to the bench. I had a little bit of money saved up. So I'm going to be trading out Denzel Valentine. I'm going to be trading out Jalen Galloway. And I'm going to go and follow my Twitter and pop on our Discord to work it out because it's only Monday and I have until Wednesday. But it's going to be an Usher. It's going to be a Young Lee. It's going to be somebody along those lines. It's going to be Potish.
Mhm.
It's going to be somebody with a good schedule going forward that I can maybe hold towards the end of the year. But yeah, look, I'm off Galloway. Valentine's dead to me. Gary Clark is into the lineup. And yeah, I'll have a chat about my captains afterwards. Let us know what your trade thoughts are.
Beautiful. I'm I'm a Gary Clark holder. I've got Clark and Lamb as my forwards, Brawling as my centre, Kell and Adams at guard right now. So I'm looking to offload Valentine, who's on my bench. And I'm looking to offload probably Lamb, maybe. I'm really torn. I want to bring in maybe a Creek, possibly for Lamb, and then maybe if I hold Adams at guard, play him on a single, I can upgrade potentially a Krislovich or someone like that to a Haijong Lee. Is he guard forward eligible? Maybe I could get rid of Bawali Bales. I don't know, but I got some shocking guys on my bench right now.
Yeah, and that's sort of maybe the difference in look, you're 300 spots away, but like I look at
Mm,
my bench now and the worst player is probably Taron Armstrong. And when you've
yeah,
got like a Krislovich or that
yeah,
Bales, it's probably like the small amount of difference every week chipping away, hasn't it been?
yeah. Potentially that and captain choice are the two big ones. So I've got look, yeah, Krislovich and Bales are the two weak links. Other than that, I've got Armstrong, Wiley, and Valentine who are solid. But when you get guys like Bales and Krislovich, because they're worth so little, it's very hard to upgrade, isn't it? Without a lot of spare
Yeah.
cash left over.
Like we're talking about, Jordan Usher being a good option now. He's still
Mm,
190k, which is a long way
yeah,
away from Krislovich.
absolutely, and a lot more upside and ceiling there. So, yeah, look, these are probably some of the lessons we'll probably go through at the end of the season with a bit of a lessons learnt pod. Especially being my first season coming over the Supercoach platform, there's definitely been some mistakes I made early on, which have haunted me for the season. But yeah, it's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to see who wins the toilet bowl. Look, let's have a chat about captains.
Go captain, my captain. Go captain, my captain.
Taj McCall.
That's a big
Yes.
option. I love it.
Yeah.
You've already got him, don't you?
Yeah, he's just been sitting on my bench marinating. Got me 50, just sitting there casually waiting for this week where he comes in, scores a ton, got him as my
Mm.
captain, slide into the top 200. That easy.
Solid. Great effort. I'll check back in with you next week, see how that went. What do you think of Gary Clark as the captain option?
Yeah, I like it.
Hmm? Yeah, look,
What's his matchups like? So he's playing Cairns
yeah, normally high scoring.
and Adelaide.
So who do Cairns start at the 4 spot?
That's a good question after this week. That's a really
Mm.
good question after this week. Whoever they start at the 4 spot probably won't play more than 4 minutes anyway. So
Mm. Yeah, I don't see anyone matching him with that inside-outside game. It's I like that matchup for him, and I like the matchup against Adelaide. Look, you've got some tall timber in there with Humphreys, but Froling will get that assignment. You go down to the 4 spot. You got a little bit of athleticism with Galloway. You've got Wiley, who's just going to jump around like a pogo stick. I just don't think he's got the game to stick with Gary Clark over 40 minutes.
yep, yeah, but it's okay because Kyron Galloway probably can.
Yeah, potentially, but I just think he's a rookie pretty much. I mean, he's been around for a few years, but Gary's a vet. He's got some sneaky moves. He'll shake and bake. 3-point threat, no sweat. You can bet fade away. There it goes all net. He's doing all right. But what about other captain options? You're probably talking about Creek and Cotton. We've talked about Cotton a fair bit. I don't like it. Is Creek an option?
Yes, Creek's an option. I think Sauce is probably an option as well.
Mm-hmm. He's a pot option. I don't think many will take him.
No, I'm just sitting here with like your Frolings, your Humphreys, and your Wileys all
Yeah.
sitting there. I've massaged my team. Obviously, it's not too hard. We have like 10 players in NBL Supercoach, but massaged my team. Like I come to this great realization that I didn't have to play Froling off the bench and choose between Froling and Humphreys due to Froling's handy duel. And I could move Wiley to center, so I can just bench Wiley through all these doubles on both these guys and start Froling and Humphreys. That was a revelation for me.
Yeah. Alan Williams is still $401,000. I would be taking Isaac Humphreys at $335 over him any day.
Yeah, but we're talking about pods. Like, is Humphreys a captain option? He just come off 88.
You'd be brave, but it's a pod. I don't see that happening consistently. Like we've seen him over the years. He's foul prone, he's injury prone, and there are times where he just gets butterfingers and just misses gimmies. Like he's in a purple patch, and if you're going to captain him and you're going to ride this out, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to captain him. And I'm not going to captain him. And I know I captained Kel last week, but Taj McCall to me is the captain option. And I do happen to... And maybe I'm talking myself into it because I've got him already sitting there. Of course, if I didn't have Taj McCall, it also turns into a pod. Of course, if I didn't have Taj McCall, I would be bringing in a Cotton and or a Creek just to get that extra one game. But
for sure,
I would probably... It'd be Cotton for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sounds good. Let's get into some of these questions. We're finished with that?
Let's finish it up.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Ryan Hammond has asked, and I know you didn't answer, would you rather be manhandled by Humphreys or Gack? And maybe we'll just say who would you like if you're I reckon it'd be harder to score on Gack than it is Humphreys. What do you reckon?
Oh man, it's Mikasa Sukasa. What's that one mean? Your house or my house?
Yeah, flat tacos. Matty Thomas, his thoughts on bringing in Gack to be able to move Froling to forward and start Hump at C. I mean, that's great and probably a possible downgrade option. I just hate Gack's schedule moving forward. And at this point in the year, I'm not looking at cash generation. I'm looking at runs on the boards. And there's every chance that Gack scores a sub 10 this week.
100%. If you need a forward centre eligible to do a move like that, potentially Wiley, given what you said before about Adelaide having that 1 week later on, where you're going to be holding Adelaide players for. But yeah, Gack, I'm calling fool's gold. That was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
The worst thing about what Matty Thomas is mentioning is that Gack is also $250K cheaper than Wiley. Maybe I think I would prefer a Ulbrich, Pidgeotto there, because he's going
Is
to
he centre
play.
forward?
Yeah, he's centre forward
Yeah.
eligible. Yeah, and he's going to play over twice as many games, I think.
Yeah.
Or actually,
Yeah,
he's
I
going to play
like that
twice as
move.
many games. Yeah. I'd just spend up, get 50K, and get Lockie Ulbrich.
Yep.
Ryan Hammond from Astute Newstead in the chat. Would I go Cotton and Gack or Froling and Robinson? And yeah, look, tell us your thoughts.
It depends what captain options you've got. If you've got another captain option that's not Cotton, I would avoid it completely. You know, like I don't like him I don't like him this week. I don't like him at the price. I don't like him as a captain option myself. Look, Robinson, I feel like you can lock in 30s. Better schedule rolling forward, so you can keep him pretty much the end of the season. Rolling, absolutely love. Gack, can't stand that. Bring him in, that's fool's gold. You know, I've been burnt already by Josh Roberts. I'm not going to fall for it again. So I'd be going with the Froling Robinson combo.
I'd be going Froling and Robinson, but again, I have Taj McCall. If your captain option becomes a Humphreys or a look, I'd still probably rather go Froling and Robinson and captain a Gary Clark, to be honest.
Yeah.
There you
go. 100%.
John, thanks for popping in again, mate. Best trade in out of Robinson, Harvey, Webster, or Cheatham?
Probably need a little context on that one. What are you going to trade out? Where's your your holes in your roster? I like Robinson over Harvey. I don't like Webster at all.
No.
And Cheatham I like as a sort of a. I think he'll be all right. They've got a good schedule after this next week, and he has a lot more upside than probably the rest of them, right?
Yeah, it's probably Harvey or Cheatham for me. But yeah, it depends. Like Cheatham gives you some flexibility in some spots where obviously you start adding a Harvey or a Robinson, and then do you not have any flexibility in your guards forwards? Like I like Cheatham. Like that's probably the only reason I jumped on it. Because look, Cheatham was an option the upcoming week, and I was thinking I could just forego a week of Gaz Clark. Look, I'll probably Cheatham. Yeah, let's go Cheatham. 250K. Let's do it.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Corey is looking at Cotton and Lee for Galloway and Adams. So yeah, I like that, especially after having the team of the week last week. They look like some real upgrades there.
Yeah, look, Cotton will be solid. He gets his. I don't love it. You know, I wouldn't be selling the house to bring him in, but if you can do it easily, do it. Lee, I'm very high on as a bench player. I think his role's just increasing every week, and he's building in confidence as well. Galloway's been disappointing. Adams was good, but we all have very short memories. We all captained him the week before, and he laid an egg. So, yeah, it could easily happen again. You know, one hot day doesn't make a summer.
True. Matty Granger's in the chats again. Look, he captains Adams and he plays crap and then benches him and he gets 50. So it's okay, mate. We've all been there. Vern's in the chat. Now, Matty Thomas was asking about Bull Qual, and we were actually talking about captains at the time. So I hope he wasn't asking about captains. But just with Cairns' schedule, no. I don't think that you could bring in a Bull Qual. Like, while it's tempting, while it makes sense, while we've seen so much of Cairns, I've just stashed Taj McCall. He's the only guy that I would touch. Maybe a Paddy Miller if you really want to pot it up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look, Taj McCall's the only guy I'd be looking at.
Yeah, for sure.
Callum B has traded Wardenberg and Drimich for Ty Webster and Lee on the bench, looking at some players to finish out the season on the bench. I don't love Ty Webster, but he did have a good game on the weekend. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but look, I don't love Webster as an option. There's a reason he's 180K.
Yeah. Look, I love the 2 trade outs. You can probably do better. Lee will be solid. I mean, you've probably held on Wardenberg a little bit long. You're not going to get the maximum value for it, but there should be some cheap ones. Shannon Scott potentially instead of Ty Webster. Um, there's a few other options out there.
And Matty Thomas was saying that Bullquell was the starting power forward. That's when we were having a chat about who would start defending Gaz. So
Yeah.
thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
He's not taking Gary Clark. I like it.
Yeah. Selcook. Downgrade option between Lee, Usher, or Wagstaff. For me, it's between Lee and Usher. And I am looking to pot it up with Usher till probably due to the fact that Doolittle's out, and they've been copping a bit of slack, Perth, for bringing him back after that head knock in that game. They're gonna really make sure Doolittle's right before they bring him back in. Usher could fill that gap. I like Lee as well. It'll be between those guys for me as well.
Look, I like Usher. Given the circumstances for this week and next week and the schedule, you'll probably have to move on from him after this double, and Lee can just sit there. But I think the ceiling's a lot higher on Usher. But Lee, the price is right with him as well.
And Usher's just going to sit on like my bench, and he's got 2 doubles in a row. And then, look, you just ride him off into the sunset. And also, it's 200K. If I really need that money later on the track, I could 58K him. And if it gives me a captain option later on, I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, for sure. No, sounds like the go.
Mate, we haven't done a show this long in a little while. That's been good.
Hasn't it? It was a huge week. There was six teams on doubles.
Yeah, 6 teams in doubles. Yeah, we're surging. The community teams are surging. We appreciate everybody for popping in. So like and subscribe. We're actually thinking about starting a little segment. I was having a chat about Braino that if you do a little 5-star review, try to make it something entertaining, and we might read it out live on the podcast. So yeah, if you think we're a couple of geese, get in there and comment it on the on Spotify, Apple, and we'll read your review live on the show if I find it hilarious, and I have a terrible sense of humor. So get freaky with it.
Oh, the freakiest.
Mate, I think we've just got to finish. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast.
'Cause of my hump, 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 my lovely lady lumps. Check it out.
My moves have got moves.
Ugh.
Let's never do that again.